You're listening to Mic Drop Moments, a podcast brought to you each week with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. During the podcast, I invite guests to share their amazing stories, knowledge and top tips, including their mic drop moments, especially for you. I also share my learning and inspiration about life, business growth and visibility. I'm delighted to bring the Mic Drop Moments podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast and don't forget to leave a review. Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media. Let's make this happen. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mic Drop Moments. Last week I shared my reflections of the year so far. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, I'd go back and listen to last week's episode first. I shared the lessons, the reminders and the things that have made me stop and think. Today I want to take that conversation in a slightly different direction, because whilst reflection is great and so important, on its own it doesn't change anything. What we do next matters. And as we move into July, I think many of us need the same three things: a reset, a recharge, and a refocus, which is my July theme: reset, recharge, and refocus. And we'll be kicking off next week with our Summer Sizzle Summit, which is all about that. And it's not because we've failed, it's not because we're behind, and it's not because we need fixing. It's probably because we've spent the last 6 months building, growing, creating, serving, showing up, and quite frankly, keeping a lot of plates spinning all at once. And this is the point in the year where many people either keep pushing harder or start feeling guilty because they really do need a break. And I want to suggest something different. What if July became your permission slip? Do you remember when you were at school and if you needed to get off doing games or PE, well, I did anyway, you used to have a permission slip so you didn't have to take part? Well, I was really good at getting that permission slip. So I'm going to give you a permission slip this month if you want it. Your permission is to pause long enough to decide what comes next. So let's start with a reset. When most people think about resetting, they think about, I've got to reset all my goals. And it's not about that. When I think about reset, I think about clutter. Where have I got mental clutter? Where have I got diary clutter? Where have I got business clutter? Have I got clutter on my desk, in my office and around my home? And that's where I always start. So there's no surprise that I'm going around my house and I've got a home office and I'm decluttering big time. But I'm not only decluttering that, I'm doing the mental declutter as well, getting rid of things that no longer serve me. And, it clears up and frees up our minds. But these are the things we've generally sort of gradually allowed to creep in without questioning whether they're still serving us. Because here's what I've noticed: many business owners don't have a workload problem. They have a clutter problem. Too many commitments, too many open tabs, too many yeses, too many unfinished ideas, too many things that they've said yes to, but because they feel they should. And before they think about what they're doing more of, they're like going, oh my God, I can't, it's just, my brain is just frazzled. They're having a million tabs open on your PC, that sort of thing. Before you think about what you want to do more of during the next 6 months, ask yourself what needs clearing first. What's feeling heavy? I know there are some tasks on my to-do list that I wake up in the morning and I look at them and I think, oh, I really don't fancy doing that. It feels like a heavy task. The question I ask myself is, can I delegate it to my VAs, or does it need to even be there? Is it something I actually need to do? Because it might be something I've created for myself that doesn't actually need to be there anymore. I look at what's taking up space in my diary. Every Sunday I go through my diary and I look at it and I think, what doesn't need to be there? And I look forward, I look ahead. When I'm planning in my doggy daycare and booking in trains and travel and everything else, I look, have I really overcommitted? Does that really need to be there? And then I look at what's taking up space in my head. What are those little nagging thoughts, those little niggles that go on and are sort of talking at me? Do they need to be there? So what are you continuing to do simply because you've always done it? I remember when I used to deliver the speaker boot camps. I loved my speaker boot camps. I ran them for about 6 years, but they were always over a weekend. And they always took up a huge amount of my energy. And I found whenever I delivered a 2-day or 1-day speaker bootcamp, it washed me out for days afterwards. And it wasn't because I found it heavy or I didn't enjoy the people I was delivering to. I felt frustrated because I couldn't give them everything I wanted to give them. I almost felt as if I was sending them away with half a job and I didn't see the end result. And so I decided it wasn't serving my energy. Couldn't give my all. And so now I incorporate these into my memberships, into my strategy days. They feature in the Let's Get Visible Accelerate Academy and the Amplify Experience. They even feature in Ignite Live and Light. But, I've streamlined the processes behind the scenes so that I can still deliver all these amazing things, but I don't have to drain my energy to do it. And sometimes growth doesn't come from adding in something new. It comes from creating the space for something we already have, maybe delivering that in a slightly different way. I'm briefly interrupting this podcast to tell you that the Woman Who Solopreneur Awards 2026 are open for entry. A solopreneur is a woman who works and makes the business decisions alone, as a sole director or sole trader. You can employ people or work with freelancers, but those all-important business decisions are all yours. Entries are open until midnight on Monday the 13th of July, but please don't leave it till the last minute. Just visit womanwho.co.uk/awards for all the key dates and how to enter. This is your opportunity to share your story, your achievements, and your goals and aspirations for the future. Plus, entering awards is a fantastic way to boost your visibility. Now back to the podcast. So what about recharging your energy? Even my energy, you can tell my energy is not 100% today. I can't get my words out. So let's talk about something that many business owners are terrible at. And it's something I'm doing at the time of recording, and that's rest. I have cleared my diary this week, and it's not through not wanting to do things, but I've cleared a lot of things. And the reason was I'm not 100%. And I saw the warning signs. I knew that I wasn't going to be 100%, and I don't like showing up if I'm not 100%. At the time of recording, it's also very, very hot. I think it's going to be 32 degrees today. And as much as I love the sun, it does drain our energy. And I have been very guilty in the past of not resting. I always feel guilty when I rest, or I have felt guilty in the past, because I always feel as if I need to be doing something. So, when I used to iron, I don't iron anymore. But when I used to iron while I was watching something interesting or learning something, or as I'm cooking, I'll listen to a podcast. As I'm driving, I'll listen to podcasts. I always feel as if I've got to be doing something. While I'm doing a mundane task, I have to do something else rather than being mindful and in the moment. So it's no surprise now that when I go out walking my dog, I never take my phone. I don't listen to anything other than what's around me. I notice things. And I think we don't take enough rest. And I mean, proper rest. When was the last time you just lay on your bed and closed your eyes? Yeah. When was the last time you just simply took some time out and read a book just for pleasure, not to learn something? Because we're very good at saying, I'll slow down after this event, after this launch, after this next project, I'll slow down at the end of this quarter, or after the summer, I'll slow down, or after Christmas. There's always an after, but it's never right now. There's always going to be another deadline. And I always do it myself. I always say, after the next awards, I'll slow down. And this time, my awards have gone straight from one to another because I brought them forward a month, because I've built that rest into the summer. But I'm also building rest in right now. But whilst there's always another deadline, another opportunity, another thing demanding our attention, we need to stop treating rest as something you have to earn. And I do see it differently now. Rest is part of my strategy. Because when your energy is low, everything feels so much harder, your decisions take longer, your confidence dips, your creativity disappears. Even simple tasks feel like a chore or hard work. But when your energy is high, and I was talking about this last week as well, you show up differently, you communicate differently, you think differently, you lead differently, and your visibility improves because of it. You know, when I'm feeling, I really don't want to show up. But when I'm feeling and I'm serving my energy, I want to, I don't mind doing lives. I don't mind showing up for my audience. And it's really interesting that not building in this rest time can have serious repercussions on your health as well. So one of the questions I've been asking myself recently is, what gives me energy? Not just eating well, sleeping well. Oh, I've been sleeping for 10 hours a night. Get that. Eating well, sleeping well, resting, just taking time away from the business. You know, I talk a lot about my free flow Fridays and my fun weekends. They're not just for fun and going out, they are fun for sometimes just doing nothing, whether that's burning my weeds, as I say, or doing something in the garden. So it's not always what makes me money. That doesn't always drive my energy, or what looks impressive, or what everyone else is doing. What genuinely gives me energy, because if something drains your energy every single time, eventually it starts costing more than it actually gives back. And I've realised it's having that quiet time in my life. You know, I keep going on about mowing my lawn and burning my weeds, but that does give me energy. It takes me 5 minutes to mow my lawn. I go out for half an hour and burn my weeds, and it's mindless, but it restocks my energy. And drinking plenty of water, I've become a real water buff now, and I drink water. Every other drink is a drink of water. And it's about, simply writing. I'm loving my writing. I'm loving my reading. Refocus on what matters. Because once you've created some space and protected your energy, it's time to refocus, not on everything all at once, just on what matters. I think one of the biggest challenges in business today is we are so easily distracted by the next shiny thing. There are so many different voices online and in our spaces that are saying, you've got to be doing this, and no, you should be doing that, and all ignore that and do this, and telling us what we should be doing. New platforms, new strategies, new trends, new opportunities. How many times has a new social media platform come out and we've said, oh, we've all got to join that, but actually it crashes and burns? We don't have to do all these new things. Before you know it, you're just too busy scheduling everything in, and you're not actually moving forward. You're just going around in circles. So I want to ask you a few questions. What do you want to be known for, really known for? What do you want more of? What actually do you want less of? And what do you want most? Who do you want to serve? Who are your ideal clients? Who do you really want in your world? And what opportunities do you want to create? Because visibility is all about creating opportunities, but it's not right for you if they're the wrong ones. And perhaps the most important question of all, what deserves your attention during the next 6 months? So this reset, recharge and refocus time isn't to plan out a whole new strategy for the next 6 months. It's not creating 10 things, not 20 things, or even a few things. It's creating the right things, because focus creates momentum. So I invite you to consider creating your summer visibility plan. And I want to leave you with a simple challenge. For the next 6 months, maybe choose one visibility activity that you want to commit to consistently. Now, it might be social media, or it might be something entirely different. It could be networking. It could be speaking. It could be podcast guesting. And maybe it's just sharing more of your story, but just choose one. Next, choose a relationship you want to nurture. Someone you've met, someone you admire or who inspires you. Maybe someone you've lost touch with. Because opportunities often live inside the relationships we already have. Then choose one thing you're going to stop doing. The one thing that you realise no longer serves you. One thing that when you get up in the morning drains your energy. The thing that makes you go, ugh. Or distracts you from what really matters. And finally choose one thing you're going to protect. Is that your health, your family time, your holidays, your desk days? It's taken me a long time to protect all those, and even your recovery time. Now, I didn't just wake up one day and say, right, I'm going to work on my health, my family time, my holidays, my desk time, my recovery time. I've done it slowly over time, over the last couple of years, and now it's working for me. But I still get setbacks when I forget and ignore my own rules. So I suggest you do start doing this now, not later, because actually what gets scheduled gets protected. And I used to laugh at somebody, and I'm going back maybe two decades, and I saw this girl's calendar that was in my team when I was in corporate, and she'd put in there was one evening every week, and it said me time. I thought, what on earth's me time? But actually, I get it now. She was protecting her boundaries. She was protecting her own time, and she was way ahead of the rest of us. So if I can leave you with my final thoughts, the second half of the year doesn't need to be a brand new version of you. It simply needs a rested version of you, a focused version of you, a version of you that knows what matters and has the energy to pursue it. So before you rush into the next 6 months, give yourself permission to pause. Remember, I'm giving you a permission slip. Reset, recharge, refocus, and then move forward with intention. And my mic drop moment for this week, you don't need another strategy. You don't need another shiny object. You don't need to work harder. What you need is a reset. Because the businesses that thrive aren't built by people who never stop and burn themselves out. The businesses that thrive are those that are built to be sustainable and intentional. They're built by people who know when to pause, to recharge and refocus before moving forward again. So I'll leave you on that note, and I'll be back again next week. If anything has resonated with you, get in touch, and please recommend the podcast to anyone who you feel needs to hear this. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Mic Drop Moments podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning, and top tips. Want to work with me on your business growth and strategy, speaking, or simply growing your audience? Just get in touch. Visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your speaking and visibility journey, or even feature on a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.